All right, haves and have not fans. This is just a quick introduction to a Zoom meeting I did with Aiden and Chandler talking about the haves and the have nots. We kind of sit back, reminisce on some of our favorite moments throughout the series, what it's meant to us, kind of our own, the Final Temptation special. But this was done weeks ago. And this was during a time when the show was still scheduled to premiere on May 25th, not June 1st. So if at any point during the video we mention May 25th, don't go in the comments and go, oh, you're wrong. It's June 1st. Wait, and then, you'll get mad if you watch this video on the 25th and then there's no new episode. This video was done weeks ago. Just remember that. And make sure you follow Aiden and Chandler online. I'll leave links to their social media in the top comment below. And feel free to follow me. Links are in the description box. Give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. And with that being said, I'll talk to you later. Enjoy. Whew, okay. All right, guys. Well, the conversation went so well in our initial talk about the haves and the have-nots, what it meant to us as fans. Well, since the beginning. And I really want to do kind of a follow-up bonus discussion, and that is about the possibility of looking at how Medea was retired, but then is about to be brought back in a different way. We're going to see a Medea in her 20s written by someone who isn't Tyler Perry. So I thought that we could discuss the possibility of the haves and have-nots being revitalized in a similar fashion, but instead of Tyler Perry writing it, because, that was one of the most surprising factors about Mabel, which we'll do a separate video on soon. I wonder if he would, once he's retired the haves and the have-nots, if it's possible that he would hand the reins over to up-and-coming or other established writers. And if so, if you were given the chance to write that prequel series, that have and have not season 9 or movie, would you want to be a part of it, and what would you do with it? So we can start. Anybody who wants to start the conversation, feel free, and we just have like a round table discussion.
Well, Jeremy, the first thing I would do, I would start by realigning the focus of the show and realigning kind of what the show is about, putting a more, taking it back to the roots of what the show is about, and about the difference between the lives of the haves and the have-nots, and how those two paths intertwine in interesting ways. I would kind of go back to that root of the storyline of the show and start focusing again on these main characters. And I would develop less of these one-note characteristics that a lot of them have, and focus more on the dynamics of the characters. Especially if it's like a prequel, focus on the dynamics of kind of like where they come from. Kind of dive more into the exact events that took place that made Candace the way that she is. Take Hannah back to the exact moments that happened that increased her faith and developed her trust in God that she talks about all the time. Take us back to the moments in Jim and Catherine's marriage where they were happy, where they were in love with each other when they first met. Go back and look at, Catherine's father and the kind of man that, he was, and her mom. And I would just kind of try to take it back to the roots of the haves and the have-nots, of what those two different lifestyles mean, and kind of the different ways that those types of people go about their day-to-day lives, and try to take away these one-note characteristics and really develop them as layered characters. And the only way to do that is to get rid of all these extras and get rid of all these C and D characters, and really focus on these main characters and figure out what makes them the way that they are, and how do their characteristics differ per situation that they go through. Instead of every situation they go through, same type of reaction, same type of line, same type of thought process behind it. Kind of see like how different events that happen in their lives affect their different type of decisions they make in different situations, and kind of go deeper into that, and go deeper into how they became the people that they are and that we saw in the show.
Agreed. Chandler?
All right. Well, I would probably save all that for a prequel series, a lot of that. But I would expand upon what you just said, because first of all, my first thing is I'd get rid of every, useless characters that we didn't need. Like Charles, he's the first one to go. I mean, he's not gonna. You don't want me anywhere around because I'm getting rid of him. I'm killing him off the first time. Yeah,
death is upon him. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But then what I would do is I would go back and I would resolve every single storyline that we haven't didn't get resolved in the originals, like Tony's kidney, Byron, where did he go? Michael, what really happened to Amanda, all those kind of things. And then after I resolved all those storylines, I would take it back to the root. And what I mean by that is I would take it back to the characters like in season 1, like Jim and Catherine. I would have it to where Jim would find out about, well, he already did, would react more to Catherine's cancer. Jeffrey, Veronica, David and Veronica would get back together. Jeffrey would start, Jim and David would go back to the bench. Veronica would go back to doing her rehab centers. Jeffrey would be at the rehab center. Wyatt would then go back into rehab, and I would want him to, after he got out of rehab, do his basically all this stuff that happened, all the stuff that should have happened but never did. I think that when Wyatt got off in episode, I think it was like 34 of season 1, when he got off and they found out it was Norman Hewens and all that, and he got off and all that, his character, my first little disappointment is I really didn't like what they did with Wyatt's character after that, because in season 2, that's when because in season like 35 and 36, he was just out there and he really wasn't doing much. He was talking to his mom and dad, being nice to them and nice to Amanda and Hannah, Veronica, everybody. He was just being nice. And then in season 2, he just started. I think that was my first disappointment. I don't really like where Tyler went with Wyatt in season 2. I wanted him to have a good life. After season 1, I wanted him. So that's what I would do in season like 9 or whatever. I would, take it back to, okay, he just found out Norman Hewens, all that. Take it back to him actually wanting to, check himself into rehab, maybe get back with, and that was when my favorite part of Wyatt was when he was with Anna. I really liked him then because he talked about wanting to do they looked at fire stations. I mean, they took a walk. He even called Jeffrey, and Jeffrey, I mean, that was the Wyatt. He sounded strong, assertive. I liked that Wyatt. So that's one of the major things I would do is the Wyatt character. I would focus on him a lot because I want him to do well. And I would also, because the whole Amanda situation, I would have a scene where Jim and David would be like, now talking and Jim, now before Jennifer Salison died, she showed me some documents, and it's very possible that your daughter's death may not be a suicide. It could be a homicide. So yeah, things like that. I would take the show back to the root and take it, expand upon where it was going to begin with before things went all awry.
To be
and
honest,
Jeremy,
just based on what you two are saying, I think what would be best is almost like a lost episode kind of series where it's like, filling in the blanks, because to be honest, now that I'm just, hearing you two out, it's difficult to really continue the series on because, some things have just fallen to the wayside, years ago. It's almost difficult to pick up. It's almost as if Tyler wrote these storylines out for fans to really forget about it. I mean, do we?
That's what I was. Sorry to cut you off, but real quick. That's what I was thinking too. It's almost like not continuing on the series. It'd kind of be like going back and putting things in where you want them, like the whole Wyatt thing, going back and acting like this whole thing never happened, and just putting it and just putting it where it needs to be after what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, do we even need to talk about little Jimmy being aged up almost 20 years older than he was when he appeared?
I actually don't want to talk about that because it drives me crazy when I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, and you also look at the fact that it kind of reminds me of like the MCU to an extent, like Avengers Endgame. Like, I would love to have seen what happened during the 5 years between when Thanos snapped and then, you know, where we pick up 5 years later, after Hulk brought everybody back. Same idea with Steve Rogers. You know, it's like, will Chris Evans come back to the MCU? And it's like, if he did, he doesn't have to come back in a new role. Why not do like a little MCU little mini movie or short where we see Cap returning the stones? And where, I mean, there are just so many things like the haves and the have-nots where I would love to fill in the blanks. I mean, there are just so many big important character moments. Like, I would love to see Veronica when she was younger and she got the abortion in college, or we see when Jim and Catherine met in high school, or you know, what was it like for young Hannah before she got raped by Derek, and you know, things like that. I just feel like the worst show in Tyler Perry's lineup right now that suffers from the tell not show um situation is assisted living, but I feel like the haves and the have-nots deals with that as well, because you just see how many characters.
You said tell not show.
Oh wait, what did I say?
You said tell not show situation.
Yeah, tell not
which
show.
was no pun intended for the show not tell haves and the have not season finale.
Yeah, it's just the fact that we're just told a lot about development, but we're not shown any of it. Not to mention these characters being inconsistent. It's like they're so one note, you know, just the fact that we're seeing, oh, everybody's only watching because we want to see what Veronica's antics are. I mean, it's like, speaking of performances that feel, you know, like shoehorned in, I feel like Tinka Sumter in the recent episodes, I just feel like she's just kind of there, you know, just sitting in bed and whatnot, and, you know, arms folded. And I'm like, I don't really feel like she's a character anymore. She's just like a cardboard cutout of who she used to be, you know? She's just this whole damsel in distress. Like, it just feels weird to like see Candace hung up in a love story as opposed to being a bad bitch, you know, on survival mode, survival instincts. You know, ever since Quincy Jr. died, I feel like I've just hated her character. You know, the pimp Candace arc was like the decline for me. I was done at that point. So I
And
feel,
you know what this shows me, just listening to you guys and what you guys think, and how, you know, some of our perspectives are alike and how some of them are different, and how we just want to go plug in pieces. It proves that if Tyler Perry had some more writers, how we could not have these issues. It just proves to
I
me,
feel like we're in a
that,
writer's room right now.
yeah, like it's really an issue of, it's not an issue of characters or potential or any of those things. It's just an issue of there's only one brain trying to make this happen, and that's just really not possible. Like, we don't expect him to be able to make all these connections by himself. We don't expect anyone to do that. What we expect is for him to see, okay, I missed that. Let me bring some more people in here. And it just proves how much better these shows could be if there was another brain attached to them. And that's why I'm so excited for these other shows to emerge with these new writers, so that way we can kind of, you know, because don't get me wrong, I like Tyler Perry as a writer. There are a lot of people who just dislike Tyler Perry in general. I'm not that type of person. I love Tyler Perry. I love Tyler Perry's writing. The issue I have is that he's trying to do it all himself. I don't want him to disappear. I still want him to have a hand in it. I just don't want him to have the only hand in it. I think that's the problem with these shows, that he's the only cook in the kitchen. And I want a few more cook chefs to come in and just to add flavors that we're missing right now.
taste test. That's it. Taste test. I mean,
Yeah, taste quality, quality control.
yeah,
Quality
that's it. It's, or even better, continuity. That's all we're asking for. It's like, be consistent with the characters, make it make sense. I mean, do we even need to bring up Tally still being alive and ruthless?
I don't want to think about. I don't understand that. I just no.
Okay, answer this, because I haven't watched season 2 of Ruthless yet. So has Dale moved to DC?
No,
not yet.
No. Just to keep
hold on. Has who moved to DC?
Dale.
No, not yet.
Okay. Because I mean, in the continuity of the Oval, Tally escapes and makes it to Nancy and Richard's house and kills herself before Dale even shows up in DC.
Way before Dale.
Yeah.
And
So,
according to the Oval, Dale's already in DC. So
yeah, I mean, we knew the Oval was ahead of Ruthless even since season 1. It's just the fact that I feel like a hell of a lot of people are confused, not just because of the conflicting timelines, but a large majority of people who are watching Ruthless now are only watching what's been aired on BET. They don't have BET Plus. They haven't watched season 1. They don't even know they're in season 2 right now. So there are some people who are confused as hell about, wait, Jeremy, what are you talking about in this video? They just now got back to the compound. I'm like, girl, yeah, you've been missing out.
Well, Ruthlessly, it was ahead of season 1 on the Oval, but see, that doesn't matter really because events that should have happened, other events are happening before they should have even happened.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah, exactly.
like Dale should have already been, Tally should already be dead, and you know that she's not, and Dale, I mean, Dale just got to Washington D.C. I mean, and Tally's already dead, so who knows?
Yeah, and going back to what Aiden was saying before, like there are just so many other options to watch things. That's why, I think I mentioned this a couple hours ago. That's why I'm glad, like when I got rid of Messenger and other different methods of communication, I just got mentally drained. It's almost like a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, of course, when I had superhero fatigue. You had all the Arrowverse shows, you had all the MCU movies. I just got tired because there were so many. I mean, it used to be just like Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends. Now there are just so many other shows out there that I just stopped watching almost everything altogether. I've been re-binging Flash on Netflix because thankfully they have a button where you can watch it at 1.5 times speed, so I could watch episodes, within like 22 minutes as opposed to 40. And I
Do
just
you do anything?
huh?
You don't. So you kind of, once you get yourself off of those things that you feel like is a chore or it's 24/7, you do feel it feels better. You feel mentally charged.
Exactly. That's why, not just you, but there are like a handful of other people. Like it felt like every freaking day when a show ended, I was talking have not Oval System. Like, I had to like, oh God, I can't do this anymore because it just got exhausting.
Of course, you and I always talked about other things too, like discussions about just real life pop culture stuff. And
yeah, but then when other social media platforms just started getting way too politically correct or so many different guidelines, like not even talking about even omitting that omitting that subject from conversation felt like a breath of fresh air. So whether it be on my phone or social media, just being able to record my content, post this, post that, list stuff on eBay, and then walk away and not even talk or think about it has been so mentally healthy for the past few months compared to like early 2020. It's just been like, okay, I'm sort of glad these tech apps decided to mess up on me because I literally felt so damn exhausted because the shows were getting so stale. Even the new ones to an extent were lacking something that I'm going to be honest here. As much as I, for the most part, enjoy watching, like Ruthless, The Oval, and whatnot, I don't feel like they bring that same level of conversation that the haves and the have-nots did during the initial run. That's not to say there aren't storylines in the Oval or Sisters or even Ruthless, but you'll notice on the channel, I don't post a lot of Ruthless content. The episode review, maybe 1 or 2 discussion videos, and that's it.
Yeah, most of it's the Oval, Sisters, and well, but honestly, most of it here lately has been, the bulk of it has been the Oval and Sisters.
Yeah, I mean, House of Pain, really? Assisted living? Nope. Bruh.
I think Sisters draws the most conversation because it's really real world types of like dating. Like everybody can like dating and relationships and this kind of men versus women type of storylines that are being presented. Those are conversation topics. Like is Zach wrong? Was Zach, how does Zach supposed to feel? How's Fatima supposed to feel? Or how is Sabrina supposed to feel with the man that she think might be gay? Is he gay? Is he not? Is he bisexual? Why does he like this? Why does he act this way? I think the type of storylines that are
why
presented.
Is Andy acting the way she's acting? Why
right.
Why
those
is
are like real psychological. What? Psychological.
Psychological.
Yeah.
I'm getting mixed up in that cockological part, whatever.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of mental aspects to it that are kind of put into play with sisters, and I think that draws a lot of conversation. So,
Agreed.
And
I
not
think-
necessarily, not also the mental part, Aiden, but it goes back to what you were saying earlier, and I really like about the reality of everything. I mean, it's not talking about. I mean, there are some deaths and stuff, but we're not blowing up cars. We're not shootouts between gangs. I mean, we're not doing all that. It's reality of, wow, people do have to.
I'm sorry to jump in like this, but I could have done without the FBI at the end of season 1. That was the point where I'm like, okay, what the hell is going on here? That's where I'm like,
You know what?
Tyler,
I actually do
you're doing
have to
too
agree
much.
with that part.
Yeah.
It was so unnecessary.
And
I
that's one
agree.
of my biggest problems I have with the Oval is that, to me, Hunter doesn't feel like the president.
No.
Like, he just feels like another white guy with power that, is making these bad decisions. He doesn't feel like the president to me. And I think a part of that is that, first of all, he never does any work. And secondly, he stays in the same 3 rooms all day in every episode. Either the Oval or the residence or downstairs messing with Ellie or somewhere. Like,
Agreed.
that, like, he doesn't feel like the president to me. He just feels like, anybody. So I think the
And
realistic.
please, somebody tell me, where is the vice president? Who is it?
Yeah, right.
Wait, I don't remember too close to home as well as these other shows, but was there a vice president in that show?
No.
There was not. No.
That's
the president really, like, after we saw the affair that happened with the president wasn't really a big character in the show. Once after she moved back home to Alabama, the president wasn't really occurring. It was really more about the people in her hometown where she came from. And
exactly.
it was more of the first
Locklear
lady at that point.
Times.
Yeah, the first lady was kind of going after her at that point once the whole thing about the affair came out.
Okay.
I really liked Too Close to Home. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, my biggest issue is the fact that when you have, I get it. He said since the beginning, the Oval isn't about politics. It's about the lives of those in the White House outside the White House. And I understand that. But when your premise is the White House, you got to show us who the hell the vice president is.
When your premise is around the politicians, they're not politicians if there are no politics.
Exactly.
That's my point. So, like, just, you can't say, okay, I had this show about a basketball player. It's not a show about basketball, but it's about a basketball player. He's not a basketball player if he doesn't play basketball.
It's like in the game. It's like in the game. It's like, it's about the lives of football players, their families, their fans, their significant others. And occasionally you will see them on the football field or at practice, but you sometimes forget. Well, them playing football, I'm talking like the first 3 seasons, not the BET series, but
exactly, yeah.
You rarely saw them, but you saw Melanie and Tasha and Kelly in the box, watching the players play, or you'll see Derwin doing an interview, or you'll see them at practice. So not seeing them play a game in every game was irrelevant because the characters carried the story. You understood, even though I don't always see them in the football, seeing them in the jersey and all, you actually believe they were in the game, as opposed to Hunter. I remember making a big deal a couple episodes ago. I'm like, Hunter's reading a briefing. Oh my God. It's not porn. It's not a magazine. He's legit sitting on the couch reading a briefing. And that's a damn shame when we're like maybe almost halfway through season 2 and we're seeing this man finally doing something on the job. That's not a woman.
Right.
Well, see, when I first saw the Oval and saw the synopsis, it said something about the lives of it was supposed to be about the White House, and it didn't really mention anything about the Halston family or what was going to go on and all that. You just really thought it was going to be about the White House.
Exactly. But I think with the haves and the have-nots, I don't think it should be brought back in the House of Pain fashion where we're going to pick up where we left off, even though it makes no damn sense in regards to how much time has changed or how much time has passed. I think the haves and the have-nots, if nothing
every single series that's done that so far has completely bombed out. The Pains, assisted living, look at it.
Yeah, it's just the fact that they would need to revive it in such a way where it would fill in the blanks, or at the very least just be prequel. That's honestly, I feel like we can all agree that if the show was to ever come back, give us like a prequel series, some sort of movie, hell, maybe a movie based around the series. But you could argue that A Family That Prays was loosely inspiration for the haves and the have-nots, you know, based off of a lot of similar story elements.
Tyler Perry said that himself in a Tyler Perry show. Don't you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He said that himself, that's Charlotte was Catherine and Alice was Hannah from The Family That Prays. So
Yep. All right. Well, I feel like, to be honest, we kind of shared everything we need to share on this particular video. So if
I do too.
nothing, yeah, if nothing else, we can gear up to talk Mabel in one last recording. So again, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. You know, let us know in the comments, what would you hope for in a have and have not revival, you know, series or reboot or whatnot. Honestly, I do have 2 more things to say, but I will say that for the Mabel video. So thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.